for it. Here you go. Welcome to the 5 Reasons Sports Network. We don't really have a name for it, so we're just calling it our 2022 NBA Draft Show. We are coming to you live. It is a shade after 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are on the 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe, like, share, do all the good stuff that spreads the content. With me tonight, I'm going to take the format of 5 on the floor, and we're going to do it here so that we get that commonality between every broadcast. The floor plan. We're going to go over a little bit of what's happened in the draft tonight. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't know who the hell most of these guys are and if they're good or not. So I'm going to rely on my panel to talk me through that. We are going to chase down as much information as possible, although things get buttoned up right now. Before I go through the panel, Alejandro, I did want to shout out a couple of the great sponsors of the 5 Reasons Sports Network. The first one being Biscayne Bay Brewing, the official beer of the Miami Heat, the Miami Marlins, the 5 Reasons Sports Network. You guys know them. The Tropical Bay IPA, the Marlins Lager are all fan favorites. I saw when I went down for Game 5 and Game 7. I went to 2 games and they lost both of them.
So it was your fault.
That was hard. My fault, right? But I saw that the stands were packed. So, everybody's feeling Biscayne Bay Brewing in the arena. Check them out. Ask for them by name. Thank you. They're one of the great sponsors of 5 Reasons Sports Network. Ethan is jumping on, but I am hesitant to pass him the ball. I already brought the ball up. I've called the play.
I'm giving up on this.
We got a screen roll happening in the corner. We need you to just go in the far corner to create as much space as we can on the offense right now, okay?
Ethan looks like he's in the bowels of an arena. Is he at the draft? Because if he
is at the draft.
That big giant screen is going to fall on Adam Silver any second now.
For our audience that is not on Twitter, I envy your sanity, but also you wouldn't know that Ethan is actually at the NBA draft party hosted by the Miami Heat at FTX Arena. Alex Toledo and Brady Hawk are joining him there, so they will have live updates. Pat Riley is due to speak later tonight. Pat Riley at 12:30 a.m. That's what's up. He says some fun stuff. So, but anyway, let me dive into the panel. We did recognize the sponsor, and we'll do that again a little bit later. But just on the top of the screen with me, you guys know him from 3 Yards Per Carry, the dopest Miami Dolphins podcast on planet Earth. Probably, in my opinion, the most reliable local insider for the Miami Dolphins in the market, Alfredo Arteaga. But this is the more important thing. You were with us on these shows during some of the really classic runs. I guess that was 2020.
Yeah.
So we have fond memories of that. So welcome to the program. We have Timothy Bain. I think he's probably live from Nassau if I can peg it. Yep, there we go. We also have the coach, Sean Rochester. You've found him on every programming, including Spaces. And then we also have Tony Schwartz. You can follow him at Tony Schwartz NBA. And he's also very much involved with our Twitter Spaces and also activating a ton of stuff with Better Edge. So great panel and people that know a lot more of this draft than I. So I'm going to start here. We're not going Heat. We are at what pick are we at? They say
waiting for 16. Waiting for 16.
16, but that means probably 16's been announced. It looks like that's AJ Griffin will go to the 16 pick.
And that's a drop. That's a big drop for him because he was supposed to go in the lottery.
Timothy, thank you. If you'd like to expand upon that, please do. Anyone else? Because I don't know what to talk about with AJ Griffin. So thanks,
AJ,
guys.
he was supposed to go in the lottery, but they were saying he might drop to as low as 16, 17. And I'm just confused because we all expected John Collins to be traded by now, and now the Hawks are just drafting another shooter. So maybe they still trade the Gallo contract because, as we know, Gallo is owed $21 million, but only 5 was guaranteed. So I still think Gallo gets traded between tonight and July 1st, and maybe he's just like a Gallo replacement for now. But speaking about the draft, I just think the Pistons did a heck of a job because they got two of the best, I think, 10 players in the draft in Ivy and Durant, and they still have the most cap space. So it's very interesting to see what they do, even though they're in a tough division because you have that's I think Bulls, Bucks, Pacers in the division too.
They just had to figure out how to bring Kelly Olynyk back. That's probably the key. If they bring him back.
Hey,
That's how
I've
it
maybe
Kelly
thought
keeper.
I've contemplated
need it.
bringing Kelly Olynyk back. Never mind them. Sean, I guess since you piped in, I'll go to you. Any takeaways from the draft first? I guess it's the first half of the first round that we've gotten through. Anything generally just league wide that jumped out at you to start the draft?
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting at the top with the first pick kind of being a surprise, starting off that way, and then the Kings being the Kings and not taking Ivy and taking Murray instead. I thought that was interesting. And then just recently, the Philly guy, Jalen Duren, getting traded 3 different times in a matter of like 5 minutes. I mean, that's pretty wild. You don't see that often. And Kemba being moved in that deal, and I guess another first after that. So that's a little bit of action, not as much as we thought maybe, but it's been pretty eventful.
Blame Kyrie.
Yeah. So, Alfredo, I'll jump to you here because we tend to both lean in the transaction world to some degree. And do you think that these reports of Kyrie, like saying that he essentially will opt in to help facilitate a trade if Brooklyn will work with the teams that he's listed, which is beneficial for a lot of reasons. Like if he opts in and doesn't have to do the sign and trade nonsense for a team like Miami that acquires him, they would avoid the hard cap, just for example. But also the news that Kevin Durant could then be thinking about his future. Alfredo, do you think that is holding up the transactions league wide? Or did we just have overflated expectations coming into the night about how many deals would happen?
Well, I think that there'd be probably 3 or 4 teams that would be watching Kyrie Irving really, really closely, but 12 more that be watching Kyrie Irving for the intensive purposes of watching what happens with Kevin Durant next, right? So what do you do, really, right? If you have a Kyrie Irving trade in hand, where does that put the Heat right now? I would think if you have a for lack of a better term, big 3 with Jimmy Butler, Kyrie Irving, and Bam Adebayo, what's better than that in the East? Is it Milwaukee with Giannis and Middleton and really good role players, a revamping of their bench? Is that better? I don't think it is. Boston, I don't think was much better than Miami this time around. No. So are you almost forced to take a deal if it's favorable to you for Kyrie Irving, or do you play the long game to see if Kevin Durant shakes loose? Like that's a hard one, right?
It's risky.
Now I got to say something about the draft. I've been hearing this all day today, and I don't know. Maybe somebody else can give me some insight on this. But picks 3 and 4, what are the differences between Jabari Smith and Keegan Murray? Because everybody seems to pigeonhole these 2 guys as the most ready-made scorers in this draft. But what really are the differences between those 2 guys? To anybody on the panel that actually knows.
I think with Jabari, you just have a higher floor right off a jump street. He's a versatile defender that has elite shooting skills. And obviously Murray is a dude that can shoot the leather off the ball. But Jabari's upside on offense is what everyone's drafting him for. He's a guy that should be able to be athletic and find a way to the rim and finish through contact. The problem is that he's got, Duncan Robinson separation problems. You don't know if you can trust the foot speed at an NBA level. So when you're talking about a dude like that or Murray, you're literally drafting Jabari because you assume that his floor is going to be higher off jump street and that he has a ceiling, where Murray is just an NBA player. And I don't know how much higher he's going to get than that.
That's a good point by Tony. It's basically PG couldn't dribble his first 2 to 3 years. So you're hoping that Jabari makes the Paul George jump and gets a better handle. And he's also he's 6'10". He's 2 inches taller. He could give you at least 2 steals as a rookie. So he's a slightly better defender, active hands, and the possibility of him being a Paul George player. But I do agree that I have you brought it up, it's not that much difference right now. But you don't expect Murray to get that much better Whereas you're hoping Jabari becomes a player. But speaking about Jabari's on now, he looks so pissed that he didn't go number one. I must say the Magic fooled maybe the whole world except Vegas, because Vegas had the odds up for like 2 days now. But Jabari, you can even tell now like he's played it off, but Jabari was pissed when he got drafted third.
Yep. And I don't know, like I think that it's weird. Maybe I'm old school a little bit in certain respects, but not like old school. I don't know. Sometimes old school has some bad attributes associated to it. But to take a guy 1 overall that you didn't work out, like that to me,
that's
very
weird.
risky. Like who does
scary.
that? Like this is a franchise altering move, and you didn't even really like sit down and have
A
that
conversation.
type of dialogue.
Not one conversation. They never spoke.
So like to me, as much as maybe he will end up being the more talented player, that entire process is not healthy from my perspective. I was surprised by the pick. I think you're right. He does look pissed on this broadcast. Now we know why Christian Wood got traded for absolutely nothing at all. So we're at 17, so we're exactly 10 picks from the Heat's pick.
And while we're on the Rockets, they just drafted, and I want to know, Tony knows anything about him. His name is Eason. He's apparently the best defender in the draft. I don't know if
From
you guys
LSU.
could speak on him.
Yeah. So I actually, Eason isn't in my scouting portfolio, but I do know he's an excellent defender. He's 6'8". He has some great measurables. He was so important to LSU. He's one of these guys that came in and played a critical floor game for them, as well as defense. But Sean might be a better guy to talk to about Easton. I don't know if he knows a lot.
Yo, you toting around portfolios trying to make us look bad, man. Chill out with all that portfolio.
Hey, bro.
Hey, I brought my big boy.
I can read the Ringer mock draft off my phone. Like we don't need to have portfollios, but yeah, go ahead, Sean.
Don't put me in a box live, man, on YouTube.
Look at that. Greg, I brought my trade down big board right here, and it has
this
1, 2, 3,
written list.
4, 5, 6 names on there. So,
Alfredo's got the SAT cheat card with him right there. I see it.
Greg, speaking of old school, it's not often on a stream that we got 3 old guys and 2 young guys. Like normally we're outnumbered. So Alfredo, welcome to the club. Me, you, and Greg, we got it hanging up. We got it. I'm going to read from KOC's mock draft. Tari Eason, Shades of a Tall, Jay Sean Tate, Jeremy Grant, James Johnson.
Did you say Jeremy Grant?
Yes.
Yeah, they called him Tall, Jay Sean Tate.
Pot is sleeping. Pot is sleeping.
By the way, I didn't get you on record, Greg. Do you jump on a Kyrie trade or do you play the long game for KD?
I would jump on the Kyrie trade. Because I think him and Jimmy are aligned much more so than people expect. And
well, like me and Brian, we talk about this a lot. Like Jimmy loves that dude. Like he at least 3 times he randomly breaks the Kyrie Irving. Like, we know the Kyle Lowry love and the Goji love, but he loves Kyrie.
And he loves Kyrie's game. They listen, there's many people within that organization that consider him like one of those guys that transcends kind of the X's and O's and can just and we know what he could do. So like I don't know. It's just so much fun to think about. I know we could poke holes in it, and there's so many things about Kyrie, this and that. I don't agree with everything he says off the floor whatsoever. But to be frank, has he been arrested for anything? Has he committed a crime? I ask everyone.
No. Not that
he's just a little weird. That's it.
Yeah, it's strange.
If he hasn't committed a crime, people need to leave his ass alone. And I usually don't like come off on that kind of stance, but like that's just where we're gonna go with that. I just think it'd be super fun to watch him. I think he could unlock Bam in a lot of ways. He's the volume scorer they need. So I am all in on the Kyrie idea. I'm afraid to wait for KD because although the Miami Heat have great assets, somebody's going to come along with more assets. And I don't know. Like, I just feel like that's risky.
Yeah, the thing about Kyrie is that everybody has that, like all those threes, all those step back threes, and the way he dances at the top of the key, dancing his head. What I got dancing in my head is, can you imagine a high pick and roll with him and Bam? How deadly that thing would be.
Delicious. That would be the
because when he gets that's one thing about Kyrie Irving, and people don't look at him that way. When he gets downhill, How many players in the NBA get downhill faster than Kyrie Irving off of the screen?
John,
I got
jumping to the
one. I
goal.
got some breaking news. According to Adrian Wojnarowski, Kemba Walker and the Pistons are expected to discuss a buyout that's going to expect to make him a free agent.
For the second summer in a row.
Just kidding. I don't want him.
Also, Chicago is taking Dalen Terry at 18.
Hey, before we get too far away from the national perspective of the draft, like shout out to Torrey Weaver, Detroit's general manager started his job in 2020 and was like heavy emphasis on we're not going to rebuild. We're going to try and find something inside of the construction of the team that we have. And now this incredible young core of Duran, Ivy, Cade, Bay, Grant, Corey Joseph, Kelly Olynyk, like they should match the identity and culture of that city. They're really building something fun there.
And they might be getting an injection of Bohemian fans next week. Maybe
they probably will be, Timmy.
Maybe.
I thought it was so dope the way Clay saluted y'all, and I thought of you immediately, yo.
That is so beautiful.
Yeah,
I'll be seeing him in about like 3 weeks. Every July, he always comes to this camp. So just a quick thing. There's this camp every year that his dad he speak to, and if they never came to those camps, there would be no DeAndre Ayton. The first time DeAndre Ayton picked up a basketball, he was 12 years old, which means that would have been 10 years ago. He came to the camp just because he was 6'6", and his mother said, "You it's summertime, go carry your ass, go play basketball." He went to the camp, and he spoke to Michael. He spoke to Michael Thompson, and Michael Thompson said, "You need to like play ball," and he played ball. And now we are about to get a max contract next week because of So when I talk about Clay, like literally, basketball is literally a thing in the country because of Sweet Bells. Like,
that's dope.
I probably wouldn't be a big NBA fan if he didn't get drafted. It's just crazy to say all that. So yeah, man, it was dope. And like I said, I don't know if you saw his press conference. Their uncle died this year, his father's brother, and they lost a lot of family on that side this year. So that ring brought some joy to his father's side of the family in the Bahamas after like 2 years of darkness.
Wow. That's super dope.
Powerful
insight into all of that stuff. I appreciate the perspective. I'm going to be honest. I'm interested on who Alfredo has on his list that he showed, his like paper list. How about you just shout out a name or two? Maybe like just give us a couple names to chew on that you like in this draft. And we're going to do that a little bit. I mean, do you guys think we're at 18 right now? Can we make it to 27 on a live stream? What do you guys think? Can we do this?
Yeah, I
think I go pretty fast. All right. Most of these names I have them as trade down targets. Okay. But their sweet spot is somewhere around 27 to 35. So you can't get too far down. All right. But Ryan Rollins, point guard out of Toledo, lightning fast. What I really like about him is that he ran the 3/4 in 3:07. That's rare in the NBA. You're talking about 15, 16 guys maybe in the entire league that can run that fast. Jordan Hall is a guy who I think is complete. Okay. From St. Joseph, he's big, broad. Like, this is the guy that could get in the weight room and instead of 215 pounds, he could be a solid 230 pounds and maybe play he could be a little bit of small ball 4 a little bit, but he could play 3 positions right away because he's big. He's 6'7". He could shoot it, he could handle it, he could pass it. EJ Liddell is a guy who's interesting because he seems to fit our culture. Because he can defend, he has active hands, and like he has good eyes, especially on defense. You can see he's watching for cutters, he's watching where the ball's going. My only problem with him is that I know that he has good numbers shooting from 3, but if you've seen his shooting motion, that thing is a mess. Okay, the guy has a timing mechanism where he clicks his heels. Like that's a problem. I'm not making that up. Greg, if you didn't know that, EJ Liddell.
I did not know that.
He shoots the 3. He has a timing mechanism where he clicks his heels.
He played for Ohio State?
Yeah.
Listen, there could be no team that I'm going to go out of my way. I will never go out of my way to watch Ohio State in any sport.
And then I have a couple other guys. I put this guy in my category as this guy just plays good basketball. That's Ron Harper Jr. Yeah. Okay. There's nothing he can't do. His problem is he's slow.
The Heat went and watched him during the season. They sent scouts to watch him.
He's slow, and he's just not a noticeable athlete. Like, this is the guy that you watch in the gym, and you look at everybody else around him, and you say, okay, Everybody else around him are the guys that are going to go get drafted, and this is the guy that has to go to Europe because he's just not fast. You know, he's not a twitchy athlete. And the last guy is the guy that I would really be interested in. Okay, and this is only in a trade down, but Gabriel Procida out of Italy, he's 6'7". His release, if you watch him on film, his release is eerily similar to Duncan Robinson's. It's a really high, straight up release. And when you're thinking, okay, this is an Italian 6'7", 200-pound, guard, this guy's just a guy who's going to hang around the perimeter. No, this guy has springs. We're talking about a 40-inch vertical. So there's athleticism there to find. Now, is this a guy that you get in and he makes your rotation right away? I don't know. I don't think so. I think this is a guy that, you draft and you keep an eye on for a year and you watch him develop for you. And maybe this is a guy that's in the rotation in 2023, 2024, but he's a noticeable athlete. Like if you watch his film, like you're like, how is this guy only projected to be a second rounder? Because it is his release, and he's a willing shooter. Shooter. They have some weird stats in Italy. I don't know how they keep their stats, but he averages 3.4 attempts per 15 minutes. So you're talking about a guy that gets up about 8 threes a game, right?
Yeah, he's bombing them.
Okay, so this is a guy that cares about putting up shots. And if you watch him, it's Duncan Robinson. You're looking at Duncan Robinson, high release, quick release. So that's a guy I'd watch in the second round. And that's pretty much it.
Is he podcast or no?
Right. It's funny that you mention him. Like all the names that I had throughout this process, like people had came to me and said, yo, can you come on a show and do draft stuff? And I'm like, listen, man, like all the names I have like are not even on the mock drafts that you go check out around all the sites, because you know how the Heat are. They're looking at they're trying to mine gems. But before we get closer to the pick, because now we are on 19, I know this is moving slower than probably the information is. Sean and then Tony, guys in this draft that you love. I guess for the Heat, let's keep this Heat centric, but then just generally speaking, like if a guy that you think, oh, wow. So one of the guys that the Heat brought in, Jake, how do you
the Wolves. Wow.
Laravia.
He's going to Memphis.
He was with Wake Forest, I guess.
Well.
He was picked at 19 and will be traded to Memphis. So that's a guy that the Heat did look at, who now is off the board at 19, but is being traded to the Memphis Grizzlies per Shams. Thank you, Timmy, for cleaning that up behind me. Okay, so Sean first, then Tony, please. The guys that you like in this draft that maybe we should look out for, or just general players that you think may end up being good.
So I had 2 off of Alfredo's list. I had EJ Liddell. He's one of the guys that looks like it's top 3 available, so he might not make it to us. Jordan Hall, a guy from St. Joe's here in Philly. Like Alfredo said, he's 6'7". He plays point guard. He plays basically every wing position. I made a comp to him of like Sean Livingston, kind of that like universal can do it all type of player. If we hang on to the pick, I like EJ Liddell. I like Jaden Hardy. I think his scoring possibilities there as a young guy. In the second round, I would like Manat, the guy from Memphis. He's like 6'9", 6'10". He's one of the guys they worked out. Very good athlete. And then the other guy that stood out to me is John Butler. He's like 7 foot tall from Florida State. He looks like Kevin Durant out there shooting the ball, plays good defense. Just like the athleticism part of it, I felt like that was a good fit, but he would be a second round project. And we'll see. I don't know. I know you kind of hinted, Greg, like if there's there's only a few guys that they maybe would stay at 27 for. So it'll be interesting to see how
Butler's the guy that weighed 175 pounds at the combine, right?
He went to Golden Corral to get to 175, according to my sources.
Yeah.
We can't be having too many more guys that get pushed around. Tony, who do you like?
Hey, can we just talk really quick about the podcast thing? Is it freaking anybody else out that Max Strus is doing media right now?
No, not really.
I'm saying if he comes out with a podcast, Timmy, I don't know if I can do it.
Like, I'll be honest with you guys. Most of the ladies that I have been in attendance with or watched Heat games tend to say, oh, he's a good looking guy. Even my mom, she sits down and watch Heat games with me. She's like, oh, he's handsome. So like, I mean, the guy's made for TV. So I don't know, like good for Max Strus. I don't know what
Yeah,
kind
get
of
it.
analysis
Get your
he's
bag.
providing, but he's been a friend of Five on the Floor. He's came on the program. Awesome dude. So we love Max Struess. Anyway, I because you follow the draft and also tend to have a little bit of a broader scope around the league than just the Heat. I have such tunnel vision with just one franchise. I'm interested for your perspective on guys you like in the draft.
I a lot of the names that we brought up have already, Hardy's a great one. Liddell's a great one. I think Dalen Terry is a name that doesn't get brought up enough. He's a 6'7", 7'1" wingspan guy. He's 19, young, intangibles through the roof. He's the effort dude, the high motor.
That's who just went in Chicago, right? I think.
He just got drafted. Damn. Okay, that was the guy at 27 that we would have played the game of do we take him. But yeah, for me, it's Hardy. And the second round, I think Sean said a great one from Memphis, Josh Manette. Justin Lewis out of Marquette. We love Marquette players, right? So Justin Lewis is a guy I think that you could really take there. Anybody that has that 7'1" wingspan, but a 6 whatever size is a player that I fall in love with real quick, real easy. And he's one of those dudes. So we get back into the second round, there's going to be some players that I think immediately could impact the Heat and could impact a lot of contenders.
Yeah, I like Terry Hardy too. I've been watching Hardy the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I think two mock drafts have us drafting him at Hardy if we keep the pick, and it's still a big if because especially now with these Kyrie and KD rumors, I don't know if they even want to take on salary right now, or so you take on salary because they're going to trade maybe half the team for one of these guys.
Now you're thinking with portals, brother.
Yeah.
Do we know if Pat Riley took any trips to see any of these guys play? Because that's one thing that I remember from the Tyler Hero draft is that he saw Tyler Hero play twice that season, and nobody had Tyler Hero on their draft board. And sure enough, that's who got taken.
Yeah.
So do we know if Pat Riley made a trip anywhere?
I didn't hear that he was anywhere. Me personally, I know that they send the scouts everywhere. And those get spotted from time to time and you'll hear about it, but not much. I don't think that Riley, and this is part of this that I guess that there needs to be perspective from Heat fans. Like, remember the Big Three era, how much they punted on any youth and punting on this entire process of finding these young players, because it's very rare you find a guy that you draft that can contribute to like late playoff runs. Like just watched what we had. Our rotation shrunk. All of a sudden, Caleb Martin couldn't even play. So the more I think about this, it's like, I don't know why Riley would go look at these guys, because truthfully, we're in a place right now as a franchise in the next 3 years where are we really expecting one of these dudes to come in and play? That's why I always feel like this trade is inevitable, y'all. Am I like being too transaction happy by thinking in these terms? Or like, do y'all think that they're going to keep and make this pick?
No, like
I don't think so.
we said in space today, like on like AJ Williams would have to maybe drop to 27 for them. It had to be like a really lottery bound player had to drop to 27 and really keep that pick.
Greg, I don't know if you saw the other day on the thread when we were talking. Well, I was trying to start a rumor about Harrison Barnes, and some people were jumping down my throat that Harrison Barnes is not the same guy that he used to be. I don't know.
I remember that
he's not in a wheelchair. Okay,
I remember that argument very vividly.
Okay, it was only 7 years ago where Harrison Barnes tested as one of the most athletic forwards to ever come into the NBA. It wasn't 14 years ago. It was 7 years ago. The guy is 30. Okay,
I can't believe he just
this
turned
is my
30.
agenda.
Like he just
he is in his NBA prime. And people saying, wait a minute, 30? Yeah, 30. 30 is your NBA prime is from 28 to 32. He is in his prime.
As long as it's not
too
cost prohibitive, I'm in. No, I'm
Duncan
in.
is 27 for Harrison Barnes tonight. Let's do it.
And they just took Keegan Murray, obviously, so they have a guy at that same position. So it's even more of a chance that you're going to keep that guy on an expiring contract as your backup forward. It doesn't seem to make sense, but they're rumored in to be involved with that John Collins deal too, and he could be part of that.
Speaking of picks, just to catch everyone up as they're watching the live stream, when we appreciate everyone hanging out. Shout out to Andrew Green for the 1999. LFG. I'm gonna just say that. In Pat, we trust. That's what's up. Thank you for joining us. The Spurs took Malachi.
Branham.
Thank
What
you,
is with the
Jimmy.
Spurs taking these off the wall players? Like last year, Primo, I had no idea, but Primo last year. Do you have anything to say about this guy, Tony, for Malachi? Because I know nothing about him.
From
As a
Ohio
easy
State guard,
shooter.
KOC says he's like shades of Chris Middleton and Karis LeVert.
Oh.
Yeah. He shoots the
So,
ball, man.
do the Spurs just want to play wings and point guards? Like, because Portal is the only real big man on that team.
So another interesting tip, and I'm coming at you from a lot of different angles. This is courtesy of Rod Boone, who follows the Hornets from the Observer in Charlotte. On top of the future first-round pick, the Hornets acquired 4 second-round picks in the deal for Jalen Duren. League sources tell the Observer. Whoa,
Wow.
4 second-round picks. Hey, hope maybe we can get a couple of those from Charlotte. We need them.
And if they're next year, they're even more valuable than they might be this year because that draft is stacked.
Yeah, I mean, I heard earlier today that they started exploring getting a future pick of any kind, but preferably in 2025, and then trying to get a second-round pick in this draft. There's guys that they like that I think that they think will get drafted. There's a whole bunch that they like that they don't think will get drafted. So it's interesting to see how this is going to play out because I don't see a big move for a front court player. I know Alfredo wants it to happen tonight. I don't know that it's going to.
How realistic do you think, Greg, that it has slowed down because of Kyrie and KD's just basically the whole next situation, or has the trade talk really slowed down just because you could probably do more next week in free agency?
I think that there could be something to it only by virtue of the fact that like some of these teams that maybe were going to load up their assets and attach them to things and do transactions are now going to them and saying, is he really going to opt in and get traded? Because like that obviously changes the landscape. So the timing of it, obviously, I don't think it was, I don't think, but yeah, it could have something to do with it for sure. I think the Durant thing a little less. I need that to play out a little bit more because I would expect that they would try to do things to like get stuff back for Kyrie that would make Durant feel like he has a chance. And, you know, actually Kyle Lowry could be a piece that would be a player that could line up with Kevin Durant along with a couple other moves. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself.
And that's why Tyler Hero is so valuable in all these scenarios. Because anybody could look at him. First of all, he already has a trophy. Okay, he's a 6th man of the year. But that's salary. And you're getting a useful player, useful scorer. That's so you gotta if you're gonna monetize Tyler Hero, you gotta make it count. You really gotta make it count this offseason if you are gonna do it.
Sean, do you think that he's more valuable on his rookie deal right now or when he gets extended because he's locked up at a fixed cost over however many years?
I would say now. I mean, to Alfredo's point, you can trade Lowry and Hero, and the numbers work for Kyrie. So I mean, you can attach picks and stuff. But that doesn't change the math part of it. You know what? I think if you're Brooklyn, you want to get because you can extend him later. You get a look at him, see what he's like, see what he's about, see what he's like in your facility, and then you extend him later. I don't think you have to rush into that.
Yeah, and let's talk standings. Brooklyn makes that trade. They're still good.
I was really hoping. Sorry to change the subject. Denver was on the clock at number 21. I was hoping they would pair Nikola Jokic with Nikola Jovic.
Jovic.
It would have been really easy for the marketing department, but they took Christian Braun. He was a guy that was on one of my lists. He's an athletic guy.
And he worked him out.
Yeah.
One of the few guys that was a first-round projected player.
That got guy from Kansas.
So, yeah, he's off the board now. So
Ty Washington just plummeting.
I know. And they like him. He's a Kentucky guy, right?
I thought Liddell would go before him, though. So I think Ty still has some ways to drop.
Yeah, because right now we are on
20. Yeah. They're about to announce the Denver pick now, yeah. And
Jamal Murray going to play basketball anytime soon or what?
Yeah, he's back. That's why they're shopping Monty Morris. He's back, and they want to give Bowen some more minutes.
I really expected more activity. Like future picks attached to players, teams taking advantage of this window to make opportunistic trades. Like the activity level around the league is weird so far, and I guess like I'm not going to keep belaboring the point about the Kyrie KD thing, but I don't know what else could have snuffed out what like Woj was literally, taking like leading with the chin on ESPN saying it's going to be the most trades, blah, blah, blah. I know that maybe some of that's trying to sell the broadcast, but damn, I mean, it's not been.
Certain trades are expected to happen regardless, like maybe the Eric Gordon being safe from Houston, like certain smaller trades that teams who weren't looking for stars are expected to happen. Because I'm just curious, maybe why would the Hawks hold the John Collins this long unless maybe they get into the Aiton deal, or maybe they do want the Murray thing, like just and speaking of Murray, why in you guys' mind, why would the hell would the Spurs trade first time All-Star, 20 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists?
Who's this All-Star? Sorry,
Murray, Dejounte Murray, 29 and 8.
I don't know. I don't understand that.
Unless that's just the Atlanta side leaking it, trying to drive some price.
Tony, why are they trading him?
I mean, if you think your window isn't inside of a championship frame with Devontae's development, that's the only reason.
Yeah, he's like 25. If all that.
I think that a couple people around the NBA are very steadfast in the fact that Murray's just not a star. So the Spurs, if they've committed to that idea, then maybe they're going to try and move him for assets to reallocate their window. But you don't trade Murray. Murray's too portable. He could just play at any kind of lineup and any kind of. You want to go pace and space, he can play. You want to go front nose, attack the rim, he can play. I think they're just doing that to see what kind of assets they can get out of teams if someone's going to send the house.
Greg, I don't know if you want to go to the chat. There's a guy asking, the God06 asked about Jaden Hardy, if anybody had any ideas or thoughts on Jaden Hardy as a Heat draft pick.
I love that guy. Like that's the one player I want us to keep. He could score. Like I do can score.
It solves a lot of our backup guard issues right there.
We got too many guards. Like that's where I think it's very interesting. Some of the guys that could be available, like the Notre Dame point guard Blake Wesley, is that how you say his name? I think he could be on the short list of guys that if he fell to 27, they'd have to think hard about. Although he's not really a shooter, from what I gathered. But why are they looking at so many guards? Of the 14, 15 prospects, a little under half of those were guards that they worked out. So it's interesting.
Makes you wonder.
Yeah, I'm always pushing that agenda. Sunshine pumping, folks, late at night as we await the 27th pick. I don't know where to really go from here.
I think that's the weird thing about the point guards. Like if Ty Washington hypothetically is still there, are you going to take another small guard? Kennedy Chandler, I like both of those guys, but what do you? Yeah. And I mean, don't get me wrong, Gabe Vincent, I know he doesn't have like the track record of those guys, but he showed a lot. I think I trust him more than a rookie stepping in.
Totally. Who's on the board now that is considered a guy who maybe should have been picked higher, that if he continues to tumble, somebody would say, wow, we really should dart in at 27 and grab him and take a chance.
Liddell.
Yeah,
Liddell and Ty.
Liddell is supposed to go somewhere now, like any second.
Okay.
Yeah. I think you got to make if we take a pick in the first round, that's basically bye-bye for PJ Tucker, right?
The Wolves are getting Kessler at 22.
Okay, so there's a guy that.
So Kessler is gone, and Liddell has dropped. And I wanted to bring that up. So basically, when the Wolves traded 19, they got 22 and 29. So they just drafted Kessler with 22. And now I'm wondering who they want at 29. So
surprising to see Kessler go before Nikola.
I'm looking at the chat and people are saying this offseason is a disaster. Guys, this offseason hasn't even started yet. Like, oh my gosh, could you just please? I'm begging you to have some perspective.
Just 7 more days. 7 more days.
I, for one, am very concerned that we haven't acquired Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, Harrison Barnes,
in the same trade.
And PJ Tucker hasn't re-signed yet. So
yeah,
consider me concerned.
See, this is the unbelievable expectations of a Pat Riley led organization,
Uh-huh.
just to piss off the Riley
It's-
haters. You know, I'm
it
gonna throw
has-
that out there.
It has Bill Simmons in a headlock on his last podcast, just assuming that Miami's going to get every player in the league. I love it.
What did y'all think about them saying that they would trade Peyton Pritchard or Grant Williams for a late first round?
I agree with you. I wouldn't mind Grant as PJ insurance.
Couldn't he be groomed? Like PJ could groom Grant Williams to eventually become PJ Tucker. Like obviously not exactly the same, not as tough. But like I don't know. I thought that was an interesting thing. Where was I going here? Bear with me. Everyone is asking for these G League prospects. I don't think Miami's going to take a chance on
Yeah,
any of those guys.
but that's Hardy. Isn't Hardy playing for the Ignite?
He's playing Ignite, yeah.
Yeah, so Hardy.
He's the guy coming out of Ignite that I'm most excited about. He's the one that looks ready-made.
Yeah, how do you pronounce it? Bucamp. I don't expect him to go first round. I know he's a good guy, and he was at the dunk competition this year. But yeah, I think he drops to second round.
All right, we have a trade. Philadelphia's trading the number 23 pick
Melton. Wow.
to the Memphis Grizzlies for DeAnthony Melton.
How many guards do they need? So that
now
mean they keep Tyus?
I don't know what they're doing, but they're further away from access to their non-taxpayer mid-level exception. So PJ, oh gosh, PJ Tucker is less at this exact moment. There's less likelihood that he goes to the Sixers until further notice. We'll see how much. Melton can't make much money, right? Let's go find this.
Yeah, it's not much, but it frees up
1.9.
minutes and money for Tyus, because Tyus is gonna get paid.
He made 8.2
million. 8.2.
We'll see what's leaving from the other side on that one. Let's go look at Philadelphia. Let's see if we can predict a trade before it gets announced.
If they're getting guard insurance, right, they're about to go after Beal.
So it's gonna be Ty. It's gonna be Matisse.
And
it's gonna be
Harris,
Green. Probably.
Green or
Green,
Korkmaz. I don't know if they really like that. Georges Yang.
If it's 8.2, Green's only 10 point. The Grizzlies want David Roddy. Tony, help me. Who the hell is that?
Say that again.
David Roddy.
He's like the PJ Tucker guy. He's like his measurables 6'5", 252 from Colorado State.
Yeah, so he's going to the Grizzlies.
That's an interesting one. He's
Wasn't
never
on my
been
radar,
in
so I
Miami
feel like I
anyway,
lost
but
my-
he was always compared to PJ Tucker. He's kind of like that undersized physical power forward.
One thing I always like doing this time of the year is looking to see what the enemy is doing. Now, I don't think the Heat are looking up at anybody but Milwaukee and Boston, if that. Where do they go to improve their teams?
Which who, Boston?
Boston and Milwaukee.
That's interesting with the Bucks, because everyone is unless you really want to give up on Brook Lopez, they have to wait one more year to make a significant move outside the MLE. Or maybe Pat Connaughton can just pick up his contract, maybe use that $7 million to get a different type of player, but
or players taking less to go there. Like that's
Right,
their other
yeah.
angle is like, come join here for cheap.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so we are. It says there's another 3 minutes before Philadelphia makes this pick. We already know what the hell is happening with it. So the broadcast is obviously behind. What else do we have to talk about?
I was going to say,
I liked how. Go ahead, Sean.
I was going to say the 25th pick, the Spurs. They've already taken 2 guys. It seems weird to have 3 rookies coming into camp, so you could see a trade there going, right ahead of us. Not that somebody's leaping us or anything, but that could change hands coming up here too.
Good point.
But it is interesting to see what the Sixers are trying to do, because they have Maxey, they have Milton, now they have Melton. All those guards are like 16 under. We know Green is probably out until March with the double CL torn.
It feels like you take EJ here.
Danny Green is headed to Memphis per source, so that's
There it
basically
is.
that's lining up the contracts right there. So Danny
Yeah.
Green for DeAnthony Melton and that pick.
And a
So
pick.
they keep Tice.
Oh, we don't have to see those corner threes anymore.
It appears so. I think that math is mathing.
Yeah, there won't be like $1 million in between the contracts, so it should work.
Yep, 125% rule.
Yep, Shams just confirmed it.
Look at that.
This
I mean, he's not going to be able
education-
to play, right? He's not going to play until.
He's out till March.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I applaud him because if I already had 3 rings and I was gonna at that age, I was gonna like do the shot. Like, let me just retire and so I respect that. Trying to
So
come back.
essentially, they're trading a guy who'll be non-functional for a period of time for someone who's ready to play immediately,
Correct.
Yeah.
and they gave up the 23 pick to do it.
Which they wanted to do anyway to get access to the full MLE.
But this doesn't do that because I guess they're shedding the salary slot of the 23rd pick.
Correct,
So they're
correct.
losing that part of it. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought they
And
were trying to
also
dump those.
saved they also saved $2 million in between Melton's and Green's contracts. So overall they save about $7 million, give or take.
So do they have access to it
No,
now?
I
Or
think
they
that,
still
I
got
think
work to do.
they have one more move to make.
Yeah, I think they got to get rid of like
Thibault.
Thibault, Shea,
Thibault.
Or
Korkmaz,
Korkmaz. Yeah. So they have
or
to
if
make
Harden comes back on a lower number.
right. So if Harden does the CP3 opts out and gives you a lower number, then yeah.
It's hard to avoid the clouds of nonsense that spew around Philadelphia. So I'm pretty familiar with all this crazy.
Sorry to hear that. So where are we at here? Any picks getting tipped yet? Not yet. We're getting close though to the Heat's pick. They said 10:35. I guess we're kind of trending in that direction right now. It says Milwaukee's on the clock.
So it's crazy. We are seeing all of these trades in the 20s after basically nothing in the teens.
You're right.
And we said on Spaces earlier that no one in the 20s wanted to keep their pick because these players are going to probably drop to the 30s.
Yep. Everyone wants to get him on those better contracts. It's like that's no longer a secret. So I think some teams are going to get forced to take players, and that's why as you're watching this unfold, I mean, I guess these teams are finding deals, but it'll be interesting to see if Miami ends up being able to find one because as much as everyone wants this pick to get attached to a big time trade, like I don't know, like is this pick really swinging the pendulum of a deal like that? I don't know. I think almost the hope of a future pick is more valuable, so that's why I think consistently it sounds like they
and
like
the
to get a
Bucks
future
have
pick.
chosen Bucamp over his teammate Hardy and
Really?
over Ty and over Liddell. What is happening?
I'm glad you said his name because I would have butchered it. I'm
actually shocked.
Tony, thoughts on this? Do you know anything about this?
I'm shocked, man. First of all, to take anybody over Liddell while EJ's still on the board is nuts to me. But he's a guy, again, all these late dudes, they're like 6'6" with wingspans that can touch both sides of a roll in the middle of a room. Like he's 6'6", 7'1" wingspan. That kind of thing is versatile. He can play up. He's a 3-point shooter. I know that some people, have called him a hesitant shooter, but he's got a stroke, and that's something that you can develop into. A lot of these guys are going to be developmental projects, but he's a wing. Like he's just a defensive, versatile wing that can shoot the ball.
He's also 22, almost 22 years old. So he's older, even though he's from the G League. KOC compares him to shades of Kelly Oubre Jr. and Matt Barnes.
That tracks.
This looks like we're barreling towards Heat fans getting upset if
they're going to lose it.
If EJ Liddell doesn't get picked, right? Because now he's like starting to slide a little bit, and he is correct me if I'm wrong, position of need, kind of like all of these different
3 away.
things.
Listen, to me, EJ is a great young Tucker replacement. He does that same thing. He plays 4. He can play a small ball 5. He can shoot from the perimeter. Like that's a guy you have to really consider. 6'7", 240.
Acreage like Lowry has,
and he is defensive.
Lots
he's defensive
of
ready. Like he's defensive ready tomorrow.
Yes.
That was the thing about there was a specific prospect that a lot of people were saying was very the guy from Tennessee. Bear with me here. I don't remember Kennedy Chandler. The reason why I kept circling back to him, and I know that a lot of people don't like that pick, I got that sense, is that from what I've been able to gather, he's one of the guys who can contribute immediately. So I think that was something to watch in terms of who they would take there, even though he doesn't really fit a position of need. So yeah, that was just random draft note. Had to blurt it out as we spent some time just chilling, waiting for this pick.
But if you just look, I mean, being 3 away right now, the top guys available: Ty Washington, great talent, point guard. Do we need that? Kennedy Chandler, point guard, Tennessee. Do we need that? Liddell is obviously there. That's the name that everybody's going to point to. Blake Wesley, we brought him up. He's a guard. Jaden Hardy's there, another guard. Jovic, we talked about him. So like there's 6 guys that we thought might not get to us that are all there. So do you keep the pick, or is there somebody that's now valuing the pick so much that they want to trade for it? Like, I feel like it goes both ways.
Yeah, me personally, I think they might go after Liddell, but there are still hundreds of teams trying to get a late first round pick. And I mean, if they give you a pick next year, and we all know next year is supposed to be like the draft, I think it's better to punt that pick if the player isn't going to make the top 10 this year. Because I mean, EJ is nice, but is he really going to play this season?
Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at too. I feel like you have to send a message to the team that it's win now time. So to me, I hope that a team comes in out of nowhere and snatches up this pick. But it will be interesting if one of these guys that nobody thought was going to necessarily be there is there. Although I don't think there's been anybody who's necessarily really free fell, like where we're looking at him in the green room right now saying like, damn, that is not fun to watch.
Although it does make a lot of sense to just trade
shout out to the Tears. Bucamp is snotty crying right now as he's being called to the box.
Oh, that's cool. That's good stuff.
Look who joins us.
Hey guys,
look who's here.
We're gonna get flagged for inappropriate language.
He's gonna talk about a muffler and we're done.
I haven't opened my mouth and said anything. I was just over doing some work on the FanDuel stream.
I didn't realize that Bucamp was clutch. Shout out to Rich Paul.
I've been talking for 2.5 hours straight, and I'm not done yet, is what I'm telling you. Okay, I'm ready.
Who are the Heat taking? Who are the Heat taking? We got new blood, so who are the Heat taking?
So I think my favorite player left is Nikola Jovic. And somebody in the comments said Nikola Jovic is a stud. JQ, shout out to you. We agree. Mm-hmm. He was one of the guys that I said is somebody that I'm probably higher on that consensus. And because of that, I think you could get him early in the second round, and you don't need to take him at 27. I don't think the Heat are, Greg, like we've been talking about this, I don't think the Heat are going to keep this pick. I think they're going to back out and try to get creative with second round salary so that it's not fully guaranteed and that, they don't have their salary slot being taken up by a first round pick. So with that being said, trade back. And I think if they can get Nikola Jovic, woo boy, that would be a problem.
I'm glad you brought him up. So I'm asking anybody here who knows, is he planning to come over and play immediately, or is he open-minded to the idea of staying over there and playing another season?
He's there. You know what I mean? Like, he's in the green room. So I feel like if you're in the green room, I don't know if there's a long history of guys.
He's in the green room.
Yeah, he's there. Yeah, he's there.
I don't think
that he's
at like one of the tables, or he's like chilling in the stands. Like, I know I'm gonna be drafted, so I'm chilling.
Well, there are 23 guys in the green room for some reason, so there's a lot.
Okay, but I thought it was less than that.
But yeah, it's a lot this year.
Yeah, so he's gonna be one of the last ones who's left.
But here's the thing, Jovic, to me, I love him. He won. He was the best prospect in the Adriatic League, and that's an award won by Nikola Jokic in 2015. Before that, Dario Saric. Since then, Mustafa Fall, like good players. And the first two, obviously, are guys you probably heard more of. Jovic is the real deal, I think. He is somebody who, he was in Europe, so people are naturally sleeping on him or whatever the case may be in the evaluations. But I think he's somebody we're going to look back and if he gets into the right situation, top 10 player from this draft class.
So I'm happy that Brian brought up. There's actually only 2 more players left in the green room, Blake Wesley and Jovic. They're the only 2 left.
So they've been nailing it then. Okay, so Jovic might go soon. So, I mean.
Yeah. And Ty. So there's 3 left. Ty, Jovic, and Blake Wesley are the only players left in the green room.
Yeah.
And
Although it does bear mentioning that this is probably the last, like, quote unquote, bad draft, because going forward with NIL deals, you're going to have first rounds that are going to be absolutely loaded with
Blake Wesley.
NBA ready players.
Blake Wesley to San Antonio at 25.
Wow.
So that was a guy the Heat worked out, and he is now off the board with
So the
San
Spurs
Antonio's third pick of the first round.
Here's the thing I'll say too, like if the Heat actually take and keep whoever's at 27, we could all agree that means they really like whoever it is.
Got
enough to keep them.
Yeah,
because I don't think we're expecting that as a consensus, right?
They have to fill a position of need. Like they have to be a guy they absolutely like and a guy they think that they can get playing time out of this year. I can't imagine otherwise they're taking anybody.
Sean, Nikola Jovic, perfect big next to Bam, perfect 4 next to Bam.
Either him or I saw Pat Garrity on the stream with Max. He looked athletic in that stream. I was really excited.
What was Strus doing there?
I think he was walking down past Barclays and he just kind of like popped in, like, you know, he like needed a water or something. They're like, "Oh, Max, come on in, man."
The most insight he gave is about how he almost got dunked on by Jabari Parker, like that all night.
Were you guys listening when they asked Pat Garrity about his draft experience, and he was like a mid-round pick? And then they went to Strus and they were like, "Now we know you weren't drafted, so what was yours like?" And he was like, "Well, I had my family over. We sat there for like 4 hours. I didn't get drafted."
Wow.
Like, you know what? If you work hard,
We burnt
you can
the
do whatever you want.
lasagna.
It's like, we burnt. Asking that, man. Like,
it was a mess. Everyone was upset.
To be fair, Strus should have been drafted though. He was a good college player. He was really good at the ball. Look, some people are saying in the comments that like don't trade down, like actually just use this pick. And I think, look, if you really believe in the player like that, I think you can get him probably early in the second round if you trade back to like 32 or something like that. But I might just take a stab at it and figure it out later, especially this front office. Like they just figure shit out.
Yeah, if you go back to 32, though, you still have names, man. Look how many people are still on the board. Hardy's still on the board. Jalen Williams is still on the board.
I'm saying
Barrett's still on the board. You're not screwed.
If you really like Jovic, I'm saying in particular, then I might just do it. I
think the responsible thing is to trade the pick and try to gain a first round pick down the line, and then take your chances with the new NIL landscape going forward. I think that's the smart thing, because we don't know what drafts are going to look like 2 or 3 years from now. They could look like NFL drafts where you could get a starter at 25 when you can't anymore.
That's very true. It's interesting the way that's evolving, and you're getting it's a little bit deeper but less top heavy sometimes. New York got 3 picks back from OKC. OKC has so many picks they got to use them, whether they're going to run out of roster spots for infinity. So New York got a 2023 protected first rounder from Detroit, 2023 protected first rounder from Washington, and another 2023 protected first rounder from Denver. So that means New York now has 3. They got to have their own, I'm guessing.
Yeah, they have all their own.
Suck. So then there's 4. They've got 4 first round picks next year. Like, let's just get out in front of this. Laughing at the Knicks on draft day is going to be super dope next year. Anyway, I
really think they're going to try to use all those picks and try to get.
They are.
Try to get like a whale or something if we want.
Kyrie, KD.
It's the Kyrie package. They're building it right now.
That's Jalen Brunson at $45 million a year.
They'll trade him for LeBron. And LeBron will play one season there and then retire, and all those picks will have gone to waste.
They're just not ready for that.
So do we really think that Deng was worth those 3 picks? Or OKC was just wow?
Houston will take Wendell Moore at 26.
They're going more.
So Miami is on the clock with Liddell and Hardy available.
That's
and
insane.
Jovic.
I can't believe we're here. Stop trying to push us Jovic.
I don't know if Kennedy Chandler necessarily fits with the
No.
They just made their pick. Wendell Moore went 26.
Yeah.
So
Sean, pay a fine.
What did we say, guys?
My bad.
I'm trying to play it off, Tony.
I'm sorry. I'm saucy. Greg attacked me early in this stream, so I'm saucy now.
Ty is still available?
Yep.
And he's in the green room, so I mean, this is kind of.
We have 2 more players left in the green room.
Who represents Ty?
Dun 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 dun.
This is CAA.
So we should go around like it's the pick right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Flood
So
the chat.
quick.
Everybody in the chat, flood
Who
you're
are
gonna
they
pick.
taking? Go
And we
around
all
the
go
room.
around
I'm
and
going
give our
last
pick.
though. Go.
Wait, who do we think or who do we want? Who would we like them to take?
Pretend they're taking. Who would you want?
EJ Liddell.
I'm taking Jovic.
Liddell.
It's Liddell for me.
I'm taking Liddell also.
God damn, holy golly.
Greg.
Greg?
I'm actually. I don't really want any of these guys. I'll take Liddell, I guess.
Greg was like, if I have to, if you force me.
But see, the funny part will be is then they'll be really good.
Somebody wake up Pat Riley and tell him to call Sacramento.
Houston is trading Wendell Moore to Dallas.
Well, what I would guess is going to happen is they're going to announce. This is just like I feel like this has happened before. They're going to announce that we take EJ Liddell, and in like 6 minutes,
Like 5 minutes later, yeah.
we traded him.
Like
We
Bobo.
traded him to somewhere for like
I just
additional second-round pick.
I hate that I'm not excited.
that year.
Like the Artrell Moultrie draft pick.
Arnett
I remember that
Moultrie,
one.
from Mississippi
Yeah.
State.
I
He was nice
remember
in
that one.
2K14.
Then all of a sudden he got flipped. I don't mean to be like anticlimactic or like down on a pick. It's just like there's just a part of me that we're in this exact run where we need veterans that can play now. So I'm just not in the mode of like, what he can do 5 years from now. I'm just not. So like that's kind of where I don't just have the same enthusiasm, but I'll come around. Don't worry.
Danny
Whoever
Green
it
got
is.
traded?
And
Wait, what
now
trade was
we
Danny Green
wait.
They
Yeah,
got
yeah, my
Melton,
phone vibrate
Melton and a
now.
pick for Green.
Yeah.
So Danny Green's in
And-
Memphis?
Yeah,
I
but
don't know.
he-
I just have a
he
weird
got
feeling
played
it's going to be
until March.
Kennedy Chandler. I'm just saying that.
Of course,
Yes.
he knows.
And
Greg
Greg,
knows.
Bobby Marks, they confirmed that unless the Sixers make another move, they only have the NT MLE. So unless they trade Korkmaz or Milton, they're gonna be in. They can't.
If it's Chandler, I'm so down for signing and trading Depot for some kind of asset that helps us.
I also think if it's Chandler that they might just trade Chandler. Like they might flip that.
That too, yeah.
I like Chandler a lot. Don't get me wrong. Like, fellow short guards we hear. But
They also could just reach for somebody they really like here, and everyone will go, "Whoa, what are they doing? Keon Ellis, what?" But the prudent thing would be to trade back.
anyone
Yeah, there's too many
nervous?
names
Y'all
on the board.
nervous?
Trading
Y'all
back. I'm a
nervous?
little nervous.
I'm
I'm a little nervous.
I'm refreshing my
Everybody watching
phone.
this, y'all nervous?
Hey, my Twitter feed is ridiculous, man. This refresh.
Hey, Udonis Haslam has to give up number 40 for Harrison Barnes, doesn't he?
I was just really nervous that Pat fell asleep and we're just like that Minnesota Vikings, like we don't even make a pick. The
Yeah, we
clock
don't make a
runs
pick.
out.
They got a player out of
everyone,
that, though.
Heat fans get pissed when we don't have picks year after year. Then we have a pick, and now everyone's pissed that they're actually going to use the pick.
Ah.
Like, we need soul searching.
I'm so scared. Because I know, Greg, you're going to tell us who they got
Like,
first. And I'm
right.
like,
And like
Now,
the time
now,
that
truthfully, the way that this stuff works,
both me and
goes
Greg,
dark.
both,
Like, on a day like
both
today,
me and
you
Greg
can't get
saw the same
information
shot
from
tweet
people.
the same time.
God,
we started
every
talking.
Shams tweet, man. Oh my god.
Yeah,
I don't even have
really-
alerts on Shams
Why
because
do
he'd
we
be
do this to
incomplete.
ourselves? Oh,
I
man.
only have woes and Haynes because Shams be telling like half truths and shit.
Man, if it's
No
Chandler,
offense.
I'm not gonna have a good time. I don't think.
Be careful. Nikias Duncan called Bam Adebayo.
I know.
No, Chandler's good, Tony.
He
Chandler's
wanted-
good.
What center was that he called him? Damn it.
Oh, God.
Shout out to
Ekpe
him.
Udo? Was it Udo?
Udo. He called him Udo. Yeah.
That's a name
Tyler
right there.
Hero. There's been lots of people that we've had to play back the
Chandler
tapes.
could score. Chandler could defend. He's tough.
Yeah.
It's just
He
can
just
he
has a
play?
Longer
Can he
arms
play?
than Tyler Hero.
Freezing-
Like he actually
I,
does.
I have longer arms than Tyler Hero. Sorry.
Do you really?
Can EJ Liddell play? Like, is he NBA ready?
He's ready made.
Yeah. Yeah.
In my mind, he's ready made.
I still
That
think
makes
they're
me
trading
feel
him.
better if that's the direction that we're going
I
here.
still think they're trading him.
You guys think like Andy Slater will be the first one to have the pick?
Slater scoop?
That's
gonna
some
be
Miami ass
Scoop
shit.
B.
But if you ain't from around down there, you have
I'm
no-
not. I just listen to Levitard all the
Freezing
time.
Cold Takes today had a long string of like terrible draft day calls. And there was one Dallas Mavericks beat writer that called Dirk Nowitzki a non-viable player.
Oh Jesus. Oh boy. Oh my God. Wow.
The guy was writing like, this guy might never suit up.
I'm feeling like they're gonna keep this pick. I don't know why. I feel
It's taking so long.
It's the stream.
so. Maybe that's a trade then.
Yeah,
Maybe
that's
they're
probably
trying
a
to work.
trade.
through a
It
trade.
takes long to try to complete that Kevin Durant deal.
Just check my text.
As long as it ain't Kyrie.
I refreshed a long tab. I got kicked.
Let me see EJ Liddell's. Let me see something.
He's PJ
check his
Tucker.
representation.
Who is his agent? Do we know?
That's important.
He's the
I can
same
figure-
size as
I can figure it out.
Justin Moore, who I like later on.
No, EJ Liddell.
Justin Lewis.
I
Justin,
watched
not
him.
Justin
I
Moore,
watched
Justin
EJ
Lewis.
Liddell a lot. He's ready to play defense tomorrow. Like, if the Heat had a playoff game tomorrow, he could play 15 minutes.
Underrated
None of the
underrated
national guys
passer.
have tweeted the pick yet.
He's an underrated passer for his size.
I worry about him as a shooter at the next level.
Yeah.
Billy
EDA
Duffy.
and WME, whatever that means, is his agent. They sound like great people.
It's Billy Duffy. He's like
Oh, Duffy. Okay, yeah.
He's
Yeah.
known well with. He's been around Miami.
Isn't Bill Duffy the guy that, messed up,
no one's gonna
Jimmy
be
Carter's
mad with
thing?
they
Yeah,
draft
he
Nikola
is.
Hey,
Jokic.
can the Heat
Great
just let
guy.
the clock expire until pick 32 and then make a pick?
That would be dope.
Only if they get
Yeah,
compensated.
what's
for that.
Screw saying right now on the stream? That's what we should be hearing.
probably talking about getting dunked on by Jabari Parker.
I wouldn't be watching us. I'd be watching Struce.
Did you see him kind of shilling to get a for Bradley Beal during the broadcast?
Did you see when he laughed when they talked about Ben Simmons coming back?
Yeah.
That was pretty awesome.
I think
Can
he's
we-
second round maybe more.
Can we
fun.
talk about how Woj nor Shams never get our drafts on time? Like always.
Really? I didn't notice that.
So,
I really do think
They'll
Max
probably
is good
get
at
Every
that, by the
single
way.
draft, Woj and Shams go radio silent for our picks.
This is going too long. They got to be trading.
Y'all so scared?
No, because especially in this situation, usually there would have already been the
Jovic!
They took
Jovic!
Oh! Wait. They might trade it.
They got to trade it. They have
feels like
to.
a trade.
It feels like a trade, but
That's a stretch. If it's not, that's a stretch.
They should keep him. They should keep him. I feel
This
like
is
they're
going to
gonna
be
trade
your
him,
Bol
bro.
Bol, Brian. You're going to be talking about this guy for years. Why
I
did we
know.
trade him?
I know, but I wasn't as high
man.
on Bol Bol because I was
And
scared of
Shams
I
was
was
first.
not high on Bol Bol.
Still, by the way, I would sign Bol Bol to a two-way contract.
I have a great Bol Bol summer league story, by the way, if we ever need to go there.
Were you there when he signed a Bol?
No,
The
but
kids
I
went up
was.
to him and
The guy next to me was heckling him extremely aggressively, and he's just like, "You're never gonna play, man. You're not gonna play in the league." Bol Bol turns around and he goes, "I am only 21," and I knew at that moment I was like, "Yeah, you're not gonna make it, bro."
that's terrible.
And he's right
Sorry,
there
I'm
in front of
chasing
us.
information and not hosting. I hope you guys are providing.
Oh, no,
the
yeah, we
viewers
did.
with
Yo,
some
yo,
sort of
Go ahead,
programming.
Greg. Go ahead, Greg.
we
Go
got
ahead,
it.
Greg.
We got it.
So Nikola Jovic has been drafted 27 overall by the Heat, but we don't think he's gonna. I don't think he's gonna stay here. I really don't.
A lot of my friends messaged me saying Liddell is really Heat culture, and I agree.
What's-
So I hope we trade on for him.
I'm gonna ask. Well, Greg's on his phone. I'm gonna ask this to
Right.
Sean and Tony, or maybe not. Yeah, I'm gonna ask this to Sean and Tony. What's the white quota? Because they might trade Duncan. They gotta is Nikola Jovic gonna fill that void here if he stays?
I'll
The
Go ahead.
last draft name I mentioned on 5 on the Floor last night, Ethan and I did a 15-minute episode. I brought up this guy. He was in Miami the day before the draft working out at Remy workouts, and I thought that could be a precursor to them bringing him in late. I'm interested to see if that has anything to do with this, that they brought him in so late to check him out. Interesting damn pick. To your guys' point, let's wait and see. Let's not get too excited. But
Sean
I
Tony, does he fill the void?
Did anyone think that Ty and Hardy would be the last two in the room?
I would have never thought. I think
My
that
time, maybe.
specifically, Brian, we're making a very appealing package to Utah in my mind. I think that this is a very appealing package to Utah, maybe Denver, maybe Boston, but somebody won't be able to turn it down.
So if you guys look at your screen, look at the new Miami Heat player.
Yo, I'm pink.
Nice, nice.
So the Miami Heat official Twitter account just tweeted it out.
So he's not getting traded, I guess.
So far it doesn't look like a trade, but
Are
we're
they
going to
keeping
continue to
Nikola
monitor.
We drafted Nikola.
Look at
dude.
Brian's face. Look
Are
at
they
Brian's face.
keeping Jovic?
Good for you, yo. Like I watched his highlights today, and he looks like he's
Oh.
nasty with the step backs and stuff.
I just got a text from my podcast co-host of the AR to Tell podcast, Dexter, who is a Knicks fan. He said Miami got Jovic. I'm annoyed because he loves Nikola Jovic.
Yeah, like let's just do the Nikola thing, right? So he's not just a catch and shoot four. He's a guy that can create a little bit off the dribble. He definitely can get one bounce, two bounce into his shot. Like that's something he has in his bag. He can play the pick and roll. You know, Miami's going to need if he's going to play for us, he's going to have to be able to operate out of the pick and roll and be able to set effective screens and catch and shoot off the bounce. Those are things that he'll need, and he's got all that in his bag.
If they're keeping Nikola Jovic,
Bro, this website says he's a 7-foot point guard. What are we doing right now? He's got that kind of trajectory.
okay, look,
He's got handles.
He just turned 19 years old. He's been listed anywhere between 6'10 and 7 feet tall. I think he's 6'11 and could actually grow to 7 feet tall. He's pretty skinny, but he's not like Chet Holmgren skinny. He's at least like 220, 225 or something like that. He was, again, like I said, Adriatic League, ABA League, top prospect 2022. Nikola Jokic was a top prospect in 2015. Dario Saric in 2014. He was a junior ABA League champion back-to-back and junior league MVP in 2021. And he was in the under-19 World Cup All-Tournament team in 2021. And also, if you guys remember the GM survey, I mentioned this in one of our group chats, but everyone watching.
18 points.
In the GM survey, he was one of the others receiving votes for who is the best international player not in the NBA. And this was before this past season where he became the top prospect in the league, in the ABA. So, Nikola Jovic to me, not the ABA, like the ABA, like
it's bad
from here, but the Adriatic League, which is, overseas and shit. That's in like, teams from Croatia, Montenegro, Bosnia, Serbia, etc. So he's the real fucking deal. He's young, he's raw, and if they keep him, I think he's going to be really good potentially, especially in this developmental system. Like this is somebody who, like, he's better than KZ Okpala when they drafted KZ Okpala. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I think he's going to be better than Precious Achiuwa.
Patrick Baldwin Jr. That's who the Warriors are taking.
Yeah. There's highlights of Nikola Jovic.
Are they keeping it? I'm suspect that they're going to keep him.
Listen, Brian.
That's a nice jumper though. I like the jumper.
I feel the same way as you about being.
He can play next to
about
Bam.
keeping him.
He can play next to Bam.
He can.
This is an unbelievably high reward move for them. Like if he becomes a real player, I'm interested to see like if they actually keep him. It's so counterintuitive to what they normally do in a draft, guys. It is for the future. This is not something where he is going to be expected to contribute immediately, which is counter to what we thought they were going to be doing. But this is the other thing, and I'll let you guys break down his game more as we watch him. And dude is nasty, yo.
He's got a hezzy.
Is that I think also in potential trades, he carries with him a certain cachet and trade value as long as he's healthy. That I think that upside will also help them in the event that they need to make a deal here shortly. So anyway, that's how I'm feeling. I like the pick. I hope that they keep it because it's just something different. We haven't been doing this since Martin Muir set, y'all.
Yeah, and 25 years already. Like that's crazy.
Sasha Milovic before some of y'all was born.
Who were the Heat draft picks in 2018? Did they have a draft pick in 2018? This is after
we blocked those years out. Was
So-
Hassan Whiteside on the roster?
Yes.
We don't talk about that. Anyway, going on. Next segment.
Yeah, he to me is better than where KZ was, better than where Precious was, better than where, they haven't had many draft picks other than Bam worth, really noting recently. I mean, Precious got them Kyle Lowry. You could take that for what it's worth. I'm still not out on Kyle. But if they keep this pick, like
look, there's something to be said about them wanting Omer Yurtseven when they grabbed him. And Omer's offensive game is all about touch and finesse. Nikola's Jokic, his game is about energy. Like you see it right there, the hesitation, pull up three, right? He has a step back. He gets to the rim with a lot of aggression. He just played, you got the questionable defense thing, man. That's the one part about him that stands out as a negative. And his body, they kill him for body language overseas. Like he is 19 to the core, like to the core, 19-year-old.
I have a question for you guys. Why wouldn't the Warriors take Ty and take this guy, Patrick Baldwin? Oh, Houston gets Ty.
Ty goes to Houston. I want to break in with a little bit of information I just got via text. Is that they are expected to likely keep the pick and do not rule out them buying a second round pick.
EJ, come on home.
So wait, hold on.
Oh, if they buy back in for EJ, boy.
They're invested in this draft to some degree. Here's the thing. I think we should also recalibrate some things, right? The Warriors drafted Moses Moody, Jonathan Kuminga, won a title, not because of them dudes, but they had James Wiseman. They've gotten high draft picks. You can see some film here. This motherfucker is nasty, I'm telling you. Look at this.
Y'all want Kyrie? We got 6'10 Kyrie. We got 6'10 Kyrie right here.
But what I'm saying, Olynyk 2.0 is actually not a bad shout. Yeah. I think he's gonna be better.
No, he's like a cool Gallinari.
Yeah. But here's what I'm saying is let's recalibrate this a little bit.
A good Nemanja Bjelica.
You can win now and draft players and develop them. The Golden State Warriors just won a title and they have Moses Moody, Jonathan Kuminga, James Wiseman. And were they playing instrumental roles all year long? Some of them had bigger roles in the season, especially Kuminga during the playoffs, not as much. But you can keep rookies and actually win now. You absolutely can do that. Teams do it. Miami hasn't done it lately because they haven't cared about picks as much. But if they're going to do that with Nikola Jovic and in their developmental system, I don't see how this isn't a good pick at the end of the day. I don't know if that sounds too strong, but defense. Look.
No, I'm with you. And honestly, this stuff changes quickly. So if y'all hold it to me and say, "Oh, you said they were keeping the pick," and then they traded in 15 minutes, I don't want to hear that shit. So whatever. But as of right now, the information I have is that they plan on keeping him and they like him. This is so different, and I am excited about it. I feel like this is such a lottery pick, in terms of if it pans out.
This year we have an Orlando League and a Vegas League, just like last year, or no?
Sacramento,
I believe
Sacramento, I think.
There's a week in Sacramento and then Vegas. Orlando is gone.
Okay, all right.
But they are participating in both.
They're in both.
I think they are.
And you're just playing in, I think, in one, right? Before he goes to the national team.
He can't play in Sacramento.
You would know better than I, but I do think they're doing both of them. They usually try to stay with that Pacific Division group and play in that.
They could get Jovic in there for the Vegas League at least, right?
Should be able to, yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited about the upside of this pick. It's something Miami doesn't normally do. That's to Brian's point. I still don't believe they're keeping it because it's just so counter to what we normally do. But man, there's a lot of upside and good stuff to dissect about him. I actually have to sign off, y'all. We've gone an hour and 20 minutes. If y'all want to carry on the show, feel free to. But if not, we can wrap now. Any of you guys have final thoughts or you want to carry on without me, feel free.
No, I think we could wrap up here.
I do have one question for Greg. Okay. Could you tell us a little bit more, since they actually picked Jovic and I guess are keeping him based on your information as of right now and nothing's changing? Can you tell us a little bit more about the process and them working him out and the timing of all of this? Because it seemed to come together quickly.
Well, that's what I'm unclear of, is if they actually worked him out, because the Instagram footage was him at the Remy workouts, in Miami getting ready for a workout, and that was yesterday or the day prior. So
that's crazy.
I was doing and I didn't report that he had worked out for the team because that would have been dot connection by me. But it is curious that he's down there all of a sudden. And maybe they just thought that he had the kind of upside and maybe some of the measurables to work with, that they think that his skill set is that of which if they build the physique around him, that he can be really special. So I love the upside nature of the pick. I didn't expect it. I'm interested to see what they do the rest of the night, though, because I feel like that they still have maybe players that they'd like to get in their system or opportunities for undrafted guys just to bring in and get a look at them. So we'll see there. Thank you for joining us, to everybody who did.
One last thing before we leave, Greg, do you know if Chet Kammerer is still consulting with the team this year?
Absolutely.
Or is he's still consulting? Okay, so he might have had a hand in this because he's a guy who's always had his eyes overseas.
Yeah, and the Heat have made
point.
a point of emphasis to be much more plugged in internationally. There was always the running joke about Riley, which I even made here in the
Who
Denver
is
Nuggets.
Peyton Watson?
Peyton Watson at 30. I ain't never heard of him. So that lets you know that we are closing the show at about the right time.
And Jaden Hardy has not got
That's
drafted.
insane.
Wow.
That's something else.
You want to talk about buying second round picks?
I'm telling you, bro.
Yeah, there's
telling
value there.
Jaden Hardy, Kennedy Chandler. Listen, again, I will say it one more time, and I'm going to repeat this again and again. You can draft rookies and develop them and win now. Teams do it all the time. Golden State just did it. You can do both.
Again,
the Heat just haven't done it historically, so people maybe aren't used to that. Like in the Big Three era, they weren't doing a lot of that. You can do both as long as you try to win now. Also.
I just text back to my buddy. Are you sure they're keeping him? I just still can't believe it. Anyway, thank you all for joining us. Have a really good night. We will have you covered the rest of the week into free agency. Peace.
Culture.
All right, guys.